cartoon commentary is not intended for children. Tom, Keith, and Cory are usually wrong, and anything they say can and probably will offend you. Apologies in advance. Commence the podcast.
Cartoon commentary.
I looked it up and then forgot to write it down.
Okay, we are recording.
So, are we recording?
We are recording.
I still think it's weird that I can't tell that we're recording.
I can tell. Do I need to send you a picture?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
send
we
you a
need
picture
proof.
anyway.
We don't trust you.
Here's proof.
I'm waiting for proof. If it's coming, I'm waiting for it.
No, I took a
Time
picture
to
of
make
it.
the donuts.
I took a picture of it, but my phone's being stupid and it's like rendering the picture.
Yeah. What was I saying before?
Stupid
You
phones.
guys have stupid, not iPhone phones.
Well, I also have an Android that is
that can't do anything.
3 years old at this point because I didn't want to buy a new phone. And this one actually works still decently well. And all I do on this phone is go on Reddit anyway. So whatever. And actually it restarts pretty quickly. Of course, since I haven't upgraded.
What a weird thing to brag about.
Yeah. Hey, have you never seen people
One feature, the restart speed.
when solid state drives came out for computers, when everybody's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, my computer boots up in 4.5 seconds." It was a thing.
Well, yeah, it's still a thing. Like, I can't stand using a computer that doesn't use a solid state drive now, just because it takes an extra, 30 seconds to get to the desktop, and I hate it.
Well, you know what's funny is I never owned a solid state drive until like 4 months ago.
Oh, I've been using them for
I've
the last
received the
4
picture.
years.
See?
What about this picture tells me it's recording?
The
Did I get a picture?
Oh, the red thing in the
the
middle.
red,
yeah.
the red,
Okay.
yeah, the red square with the white dot that has the name of what I named the recording file.
Oh, what's up, Internet? Welcome to Cartoon Commentary, a podcast where three world watchers in their 30s discuss old, new, and usually weird cartoons and talk about it for your amusement. I'm Cory, Mega Slank Zamir.
I'm Tom the Great O'Connell.
I'm Keith, thinking that somebody that just likes to watch is weird, Barnofsky.
Aw, man, Tom, you missed the opportunity to be Mega Brain.
I know, as soon as I
backed
said
off
it,
of
I was like,
I went deeper. I looked and found a character that's not even in this episode. And he looks like garbage, to be honest. I should have picked Mega Brain if you weren't going to say it, but
yeah,
here we are. This is the bed we're in. We got to lay in it.
Gosh,
drop
dang
the
it.
ball. Sorry about that.
Way
Yeah,
to-
with that said,
Way
we
to
should
start
probably...
the episode, Tom.
Yeah.
On that letdown,
Yeah, so let's talk about this letdown. So today's episode is Widget the World Watcher, a show from, what was it, the early 90s? I remember it as a little boy, but apparently my two co-hosts don't really remember it so much. Keith, you don't remember it at all, do you?
no, this was totally new to me. I do not remember this from child. I mean, we've discussed this. I don't have a lot of memories from childhood per se. I feel like TV shows, I remember the ones that I used to watch though. And this does not. This was brand new to me.
Wow. And Cory,
Yeah,
you
I
never
had
actually...
never...
Yeah.
I had never heard of this. I actually thought it was a video game that they made a show about, not the other way around.
Yeah. See, I remember.
I have the NES game. I have the Super Nintendo game. They're both Atlas titles, so they're okay. They're not crazy good, but
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a show, especially
Yeah.
a show that ran for 3 seasons.
I remember this because the first season, which was on Saturday mornings, the episodes, I think it aired around the same time that the Super Mario Brothers Super Show aired, and the Legend of Zelda TV show, and all those other video game shows. So I remember it being part of that block, but then it disappearing because it switched to being a weekday show. And I remember watching it, like reruns of it before school, when I was in like elementary school. And I also remember playing the video game because I went down to the local video store up the road and rented the one for the Super Nintendo, the sequel game, which was on the Super Nintendo. But yeah, overall, it's a weird premise, but it works. So yeah, Widget the World Watcher. I guess we'll just dive in now and explain who Widget is. Widget is an alien from the Horsehead Nebula. I remember that specifically for some reason. From the Horsehead Nebula. Basically, he's an alien. His race of people are in charge of protecting all the creatures in the universe, all life forms in the universe. So, for instance, Earth. We have all our special creatures and animals and whatever, and then we have our more endangered species, and those are the type of species that the Watchers are concerned about, the endangered species. So, anyhow, Widget, though, is not officially a Watcher. He's just an apprentice, right, guys?
Apprentice, second class?
Citizen.
Yes, it's second class, yeah.
Citizen.
Citizen.
Every time they said apprentice second class, I would just like mentally insert the word citizen. So apprentice second class citizen.
Yeah.
Because
They treat him like one.
they kind of treat him
They
like
do.
like the people, like the official Watchers that he works for. They treat him a little bit like garbage. They're like, hey, new guy, whatever.
Yeah, they're not very nice to him. And basically, he's tasked with the job of getting a spaceship ready for the real Watcher, who's going to go to the Earth and save the whales, because there's a bunch of whales that are in trouble.
Because like any good story, it begins with wax on, wax off. So he has to go and clean the ship for the person that's going to fly it.
Yep. And while cleaning the ship, he found, what was that, it looked like a watch or something, right? He found some piece of technology that he put on his wrist, and it turned out to be some weird computer program thing called Mega Brain, voiced by Jim Cummings, who most of you probably recognize his voice because he's done a million different voices, but he's currently the voice of Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and a million other things. Like, I think he was also Pete, the Goof Troop. Remember Pete?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he also voiced Pete for some. I was kind of picking up on that, but maybe I could be mistaken.
I actually, I noticed multiple voices, or I had familiarity with multiple voices in this, including Widget. I'm not good with even very popular actors' names, never mind actors that do like voiceover work, because I feel like when you can't put a face to the name, it's even harder to remember at times. And
Yeah.
I'm bad even when you have the face. So, but like half of the voiceover work in the show, I was like, oh my God, what's that from? Oh my God, what's this one from?
Yeah.
And it was actually very distracting because I was trying to pay attention. And I found myself just like mentally wandering because I'm trying to like be like, did they do somebody in Rugrats or something?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, Keith.
Yeah.
Wow. I was waiting for my opportunity to speak because I was going to say it sounds like someone that was in Rugrats.
Yep.
Like, that's what it sounded like. I never, fact checked to see who it was, but I'm hoping Tom actually knows, possibly.
I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think you guys are right. We'll have to look it up, but yeah. That's one cool thing about this show. I mean, Keith, you said it was a little distracting. For me, I'd hear the voices and right away I'm like, I know that voice, I know that guy, and I would like picture all the other roles they did. But yeah, so Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, appears in the form of Mega Brain, some weird like computer program thing that pops out of this bracelet and is supposed to help the Watcher. Though I don't really know how he's helpful. He just seems kind of like there for comedic relief.
Well, he immediately launches into like a self monologue of like, oh wow, I can't believe they activated me again, especially after what happened last time. Anyway, we're definitely not talking about that. It was like very like, I don't know, it was just like out in the open, I'm a fuck up. Oh,
Yeah,
we're gonna
but he was
give it
being
another
pretty.
try.
He was being pretty critical of Widget though, and Widget's just like, I'm doing my job. I'm working my way up.
Because he was like, oh, the second class citizen activated me. So he was like, you know, because that's what it was. He was disappointed at his title. He thought he was getting like a full class watcher,
Citizen?
not yes, a full somebody who's been granted full citizenship,
Yeah.
and not the second class apprentice. So he was disappointed at that. But
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, so basically we're introduced to these two characters, our supposed heroes, and they're basically talking about how they're really not good at their jobs, and somehow they launch the ship accidentally, and it knows to go straight to Earth.
Oh, that was no accident. He was
Well,
like,
yeah.
Well,
I'm putting the
it
ship.
was prepared for Earth.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
prepared for
it was
Earth, but
prepared
it
for
was
Earth.
accidentally launched.
But he was like, one day I'll get to launch the ship, and then looks at the button, presses the button, and goes,
Yeah.
"Oops,
Whoops.
that was not an accident."
Yeah, it
So
really
I
wasn't.
I did decide to look up who this actor, or I should say actress, was. And
Yeah.
it's Russie Taylor.
Russie Taylor, okay.
So
This is
oddly
the actress
enough,
that voices
no,
Widget.
yes, no affiliation as far as I can tell from the Wikipedia page to Rugrats. However, there is someone's she voice act for that we should definitely recognize: Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh,
No shit.
That's what it was.
Oh,
That's what it was.
wow. That's, yeah. There was something very familiar about her voice.
I get it because it's got that little. It's like a slightly raspy kind
Yeah.
of quality
Yes.
to it.
Yes.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Good pull.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
All right, so yeah, at this point, we cut to the other characters, other main characters. Was it Kevin and Brian? Two boys from what was it? It looked like they were maybe California, West Coast, somewhere
Yeah.
out there. Yeah. Anyhow, we cut to Kevin in science class, and he's daydreaming about being a sci-fi hero. Just
Which is an interesting thing that they actually decided to put in the opener for the show. So
Oh,
I noticed
yeah.
that they had like him jumping on whatever, skateboard, skyboard thing that he does in the opener. Normally you would think that something that's in the opener is something that actually ends up happening in the show, not that it's like someone's daydream, because it doesn't really,
Yeah.
like we are dealing with a show that has some aliens, so you're thinking, oh, maybe that happens at some point. And it's
Yeah.
just like, no, he just dreamt that.
Well,
Yeah.
I wonder though, like maybe his dreams come to fruition because so after watching the first episode and then looking at the opener again, the opener is almost just an overview of the first episode. So it's really
Yeah.
kind of funny because you watch that and then you go into the first episode because it's Widget and he's like, and I crash landed on this planet and made a couple mistakes, but this is where my adventure starts. And then it starts out before that as episode one. So you're almost just like, oh, like we're not there yet. Like this wasn't a lead up to like where we're starting from. That's a lead up to like what's happening in this episode.
Yeah. Kind of just coaxing you in, just
Yeah.
letting you know what you're in for, but
Hey, hey, quick little spoiler here.
Yeah.
These couple things are going to happen. Widget's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
yeah. So Kevin gets in trouble for daydreaming. Then he leaves school with his brother, his younger brother Brian, and for whatever reason they decide to stop at the beach before they head home. And what was it? They witness Widget's ship crashing into the ocean, and they go to follow it and see what's going on. And all of a sudden, the ship, which crashed into the ocean, starts moving along, plugging along like a boat, and goes into a cave, which they decide to investigate, where they meet Widget for their first confrontation with him, and he's in the form of like some sort of dragon-like creature, right? And he tries to scare them
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, and I don't like because later on he shapeshifts and he can still talk. So like originally at this part, I was like, oh, maybe he doesn't have the correct like vocal cords to talk in
Yeah.
that shape. But then he
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was-
proves that wrong later.
I was kind of thinking there was like going to be a situation where it's just like, oh, I didn't set my universal translator to, English kind of thing. Like, I thought that was what was going on there.
Or maybe, being used to being a second-class citizen, he's usually not allowed to speak to people.
Oh no.
Oh, that's awful.
But the boys do kind of like dilly-dally. They have like a whole conversation there in
Yeah.
front of Widget where they're just like, oh man, this thing's going to kill us, right? Yeah, no, this thing's totally going to kill us. I've read a bunch of comic books. In this comic book, like they have a whole conversation.
Yeah.
They're like, oh wait, run.
Well, it happens both ways where they'll constantly, like, Widget will be taking a call from his planet, and he, like, knows these humans are there watching him,
Yeah.
and, like, just seems to, like, forget momentarily because it's convenient that they're there. Mm-hmm. And, like, vice versa. It, like, just happens both ways where they'll just constantly forget that the other people are right there witnessing this.
I
Hey.
think if this happened in the 90s, I think that the whole hold on AFK BRB that's a valid thing, He was just like, oh, getting a call from my boss, AFK BRB. Pretend these humans aren't here.
Yeah. Either that or I just, when you think about it, how else are they going to get all that exposition out to us?
Yeah, they did fit a lot into this first episode.
Yeah.
I was starting to think it was going to be a multi-part episode, just because I felt like it had gone on so long and they still hadn't encountered the whalers yet.
Yeah. Though it is intense when they do, but we'll get to the whalers. Yeah, so where did we leave off? Oh yeah, the boys, yeah, like Keith said, they have this, they dilly-dally. They see this monstrous creature, this monstrous alien dragon creature in front of them, and they just sit there talking about it until they decide to run. And where did they run? They run straight to a vet.
Well,
Because
it's a dragon.
Yeah. An alien dragon, we need a vet.
The one person that would know anything about a dragon is the person that went through veterinary school and studied dragons alongside dogs and cats and parrots and
Yep.
parrots are probably really similar.
True, they're
anatomy-wise
just
to
small dragons.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just. I mean, if you know what makes up a lizard and you know what makes up a parrot,
Yeah,
there you go. Just put them together. Dragon.
dragon.
Hey listeners, Cory here, real quick to see if you can help us out and grow the podcast by leaving a 5-star rating on iTunes. Also, if you enjoy the show, wouldn't it be great to share it with friends and family? Just a suggestion.
So anyhow, yeah, they go to the vet. They ask for help. The vet's like, "Oh, come on, boys, you're full of shit. You've tricked me before. I'm not gonna fall for it." And then they cut to the next scene. She literally follows them after saying she's not gonna follow them.
Which is funny though, because that means that these boys have done some shit before.
Yeah. What'd you say? Was it radioactive gremlins that they tried convincing her, I think? I don't know, something with gremlins from before. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to you guys. And then she does.
No, this
But yeah,
is
they...
So, I'm pretty sure she's actually their big sister.
Really? I missed that
If-
entirely.
Like, I don't think they cover it in the exposition here, but I think they go to visit her because it's their big sister, Kristen, right?
I think that definitely makes sense. I wondered the same thing, which is why I'm.
Well, I mean, I'm also, like, deep
Yeah.
into the Wikipedia right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
And
right.
I can't see her not being this person because otherwise this person's just not mentioned.
Yeah,
Well,
she's the big sister.
the
Yeah.
only thing that threw me off the trail was she references Kevin as the younger one's big brother, and I'm like, well, that's
Yeah, I
a weird thing
almost
because
feel like they didn't know who she was going to be when they started the
yeah,
series.
because I feel like if you were three siblings, you'd just be referencing each other by name. You wouldn't be like just the connotation of being like, oh, well, your big brother, instead of just be like, oh, well, Kevin. Like,
Unless that's for
Yeah.
the audience's sake.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Also, these kids look nothing alike.
that's true.
You got a dark-haired boy, a brown-haired boy, and a redhead girl.
Hey,
Maybe they got 3 different fathers. I don't know.
yeah, you don't know. You don't know them.
Maybe they got three different mothers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Never know.
Or maybe they have 3 different mothers and 3 different fathers, and they're foster children.
Oh, I was gonna say, how are they related? I guess related through the horrible foster system.
All right.
Man, this show got
I guess
sad.
they won't be sponsoring us.
Well, no.
That'd be a weird sponsor.
That would be a really weird sponsor.
To get sponsored by the foster system, by like Child Protective Services.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they don't sponsor people. That's
Hey,
not.
Child Protective Services, if you sponsor people, you sponsor us.
You sponsor us.
Yeah.
Or the foster systems that are in, I don't know, not in business with, but are benefiting from, sounds bad too. The foster systems that are helping Child Protective Services by taking on those children in a loving environment. Mm-hmm. You guys know you're strapped for cash because you took on all those extra kids, but sponsor us.
Yep.
There you go.
And that's how you do it.
That's award-winning.
Oh,
marketing
speaking
pitch.
of award winning, I didn't even mention this show won an award.
For what?
I don't remember.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
I know.
Oh wow.
I think it was either education or environmentalism, one of those.
Oh, I can see education.
You said environmental earlier when you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it could be that.
Yeah. That's
Anyway,
why I can't remember.
It's okay. I'll just be on Wikipedia and our text chain. And I'll just verify all the information we say.
Oh God. So
God, we're good at this.
Corey's gonna have to do a voiceover afterwards that's just correcting us. It's gonna sound really weird when he starts interjecting over my voice and Tom's voice, but you know,
That'd be hilarious.
at least it'll be
like-
factual.
Yeah.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
Oh God. No. If you do it that way, that's gonna be 50% of the podcast.
I know.
And it's gonna be mostly my fault.
I'll just voice over all of our inner monologues throughout the entire show.
Actually, the first 20 of them will be like, at this point, Keith still didn't know that he fucked up. And then eventually you'll get to the one where it's like, at this point, he knew that he fucked up. But
At this point, he's too drunk to care that he fucked up.
he was pot committed. There's no backing out now. You gotta stick to your guns and just finish the episode.
Steer the course.
So she follows them.
To the cave. Yeah, they
Yeah.
go back for their second confrontation with Widget, who again is a weird creature, scary weird creature. But for whatever reason, they're pretty sure that the sister can communicate with him
Well, she is a
by
vet,
speaking.
right? She's a vet. So
Yeah.
doesn't she say something like, "We're friends"?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, all right, solid play. Let's see how this plays out.
And I think Widget like didn't even interact with them initially. I think his bosses called him on his alien telephone from the ship, and he starts talking with them while the kids and the vet listen in on it. And then all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we'll help you," because at this point that's you learn Widget's there. Widget messed up. Widget's new job is to be the temporary watcher since the real watcher can't get there.
Well,
And
I think they just realized that he was incompetent, and they're just like, "Oh man, we got to help this alien guy because he does not know what he's doing here."
that's true.
Yeah, he should have ate us already.
And let's be honest, it's a vet who got lured away from her job by her supposed two younger siblings. Like, so she just like left work
Yeah.
on a whim of an alien hunch from kids that have tricked her in the past into wild goose chases. And these two kids who are like out of school at this point, live in California, just going down to the beach doing whatever, like none of them apparently have anything important to do at this point. So
Yeah.
help this guy out. He needs a promotion.
Yeah. So they agree to help him. But to help him, oh yeah, they learn about the whalers at this point. They learn about these whalers that are nearby kidnapping baby whales to sell off to the highest bidder. And
No,
yeah,
they're selling them to cheap carnivals in foreign countries.
that's right.
That's I don't know if that was like a weird like, oh no, kidnapping baby whales not bad enough. They got to be selling them to someone. Who do we not like? Cheap
Foreigners.
carnivals. Yeah, foreigners.
Foreigners.
Cheap carnival. No, there was two people with two different ideas. Cheap carnivals, thinking like, oh, those damn carnies. And then somebody else was like, foreigners, because America, right? And
Yeah.
they were just like, no, you know what? Cheap carnival foreigners. Oh, there you go. Ultimate bad guy first episode. They're going to tackle a big one this time.
Oh man, the next time, like when the pandemic's over and we're allowed to travel again, next time I'm in Europe, if I see a carnival worker, I'm just gonna go beat the shit out of them to save the whales.
Oh,
No.
man.
No.
Oh, man.
Like,
Jeez.
don't you kidnap those whales, you bastard!
You
Pow,
go
pow,
undercover.
pow.
You're backpacking through Europe, going to every carnival, pretending to be a baby whale buyer to see if anybody has any for sale. So that way, then you can go all vigilante on them. I respect that.
Yeah. And when they ask me what my name is, I just go, Widget.
I'm a figment of a thing. Isn't a widget just like an imaginary? Like they use that term in like
Yeah.
mathematical, you know.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly.
It's like algebraic calculations where it's like you could produce 500 widgets per hour. A widget is like basically just like an imaginary product.
We're gonna have to look this up now.
Oh God, don't fact check
Nah,
me.
I'm good. I'm good.
Thank you, Cory. Anyway, Tom.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, okay. So anyhow, yeah, so they agree to help Widget, and apparently they decide the only way to help him is they got to get themselves a speedboat to get to the whalers, and to do that, they go to Kevin's rich cousin's house because his rich cousin lives by a marina or has a marina and has access to a boat.
Rich cousin Mickey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what you would gather from this, if you're an alien watching this show, is that all humans are related.
Yes.
Oh God.
Like he's related to everybody that exists in this show so far.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
weird.
And this was also just such a weird conflict that they had to resolve. It's just like, oh, the guard at the gate with a dog
Iron Mike.
needs to keep him out of
Well,
his cousin's house.
this is the thing. I mean, you look at Mickey, and they basically preface it when they're hiding in the bushes outside the house, that they're like, "Oh, there's a party going on there," and they're like, "Oh, there's always a party there." Mickey's a fucking drug dealer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's
Pretty
be honest.
much.
That guy's got like 12 boats at his dock, a house on the water. He's a cousin of theirs. He's like slightly above, or he's like adjacent age-wise to the veterinarian. And he's got all of these toys, wealth, and he parties constantly. He's a drug dealer. There's no other way to achieve that. And if their family had wealth, these other kids would have wealth too. So that's that.
Yeah, I totally missed that, but you're right. That makes a lot of sense.
Honestly, I just put it together just now. But
Yep. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know, real quick, they're able to trick the guard at the gate, who I know they kept referring to as Iron Mike, and I kept thinking of Mike Tyson, but I'm like, this guard doesn't look like Mike Tyson, or
No, but they do
no.
say that Widget's going to have to transform into a boxer to have a chance against him.
Yes, and then he turns into a boxer dog, which makes Iron
Yeah.
Mike's dog decide to chase after him, and that's how they get the guard and the dog out of the way so they could go in and grab one of the boats.
Yeah, GTA this boat.
I mean,
Yep.
that was very Inspector Gadget like, where it was like, let me try one thing. I did something pretty wrong, but it ended up working out in our favor anyway.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, so they get themselves a speedboat or a sport boat or whatever the hell they call it, and decide to head to the whalers, which I thought this was a pretty intense battle. Even though they packed so much into the show up until this point, like Corey said, it almost felt like it would be a two-parter because at the so much time had gone by and we still hadn't got to the whales yet. But when we finally get there, they pack a lot of action in just a matter of like a minute and a half, where you actually see baby whales being netted and captured, and they're crying, and what is it? Widget decides to transform into a sea creature to help the whales. And what did he turn into? He turned into
He turned into a tentacle monster first.
yeah,
Yeah, he
and it
called it something. It was like from another planet.
what the hell? I knew its name. It was a Mortog something. It,
I'm gonna
it
call
sounded
it. I'm gonna call it a fishtopus.
Mortog Drolog. I remember it because it sounded kind of like it was Klingon.
Oh god,
So yeah, he turned into a Mortog
it
Drolog, which
looked
was
like it
like
was Klingon.
a piranha fish with 4 tentacles attached to it for legs. It was pretty horrific looking. But yeah, he realizes the mistake, then turns into, I guess, a whale, like a beluga whale? I don't
Yeah,
I
know.
think he said beluga.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's a beluga.
Yeah. He jumps in the water and starts trying to interfere with the whalers. At some point, Kevin's little brother Brian falls overboard, and I
And
don't
then
know if you
starts
guys,
riding the whale.
yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Kevin, I think, does more to help save the whales than anyone in this episode because he rides that whale, and in the end, it's the big whale that Kevin's riding that ends up breaking the other whales free. You
Yeah,
know, Wid-
yeah.
yeah, Widget does a few things, like he hops out of the water and starts biting the cables that are towing some of the whales in, and he's snapping some of the cables, but it's actually not Kevin, Brian, and the big whale that come over and really rescue the other whales. Though Widget, if I remember correctly, Widget's the one who ends up destroying the ship, right? He jumps over the ship, the whaler's ship, and somehow interferes with them and their gun that they're firing, and they fire it straight down on their own deck and blow up the ship,
Yeah,
which
and
seemed a little excessive.
if you're keeping track, he kills at least 2 humans in this battle.
Oh wow, I missed that entirely.
Yeah, so at the point earlier in the fight, he jumps up and cuts the rope that is currently hauling in a whale, and you get the reaction of the sailors, and there's 5 of them basically shaking their fists because, he just, freed one of the whales. After he's destroyed the ship, only 3 of them make it to the lifeboat.
Oh wow,
Ooh,
Yeah. So that's two human casualties right there.
damn! I don't even think Captain Planet killed people.
He's got a body count already.
Damn, first episode, children's show.
there, it's stone cold murder.
Yep.
Well,
Actually, no, he might actually have 3 because one of them is a captain in blue. I don't know if it's
yeah.
obvious, but I'm kind of rewatching this as we talk so I can fact check it. But yeah, he definitely gets at least 3, I think. No, it's still 3, but the captain got away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cold-blooded.
Wait, the captain's supposed to go down with the ship.
Nope, he didn't.
That bastard. That's a
Frickin'
rule.
Carney.
I'm pretty sure that's in maritime law.
Foreigner Carney, Captain.
Yeah.
So the thing that's interesting that I really took away from this is the biggest comparison you could draw to Widget the World Watcher is obviously Captain Planet.
Yeah.
And both shows have a very environmental theme about preserving wildlife. But the thing that they really teach you is the main way to do this is through violence.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, if you look at any Captain Planet episode, there's very rarely, if ever, do they solve an issue without, calling for Captain Planet. And the thing is, Captain Planet comes out swinging.
Yeah.
If you got a big robot, he's going to beat the shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we just saw Widget kill 3 people.
Well,
Even if they didn't explicitly.
technically,
he caused them to drown.
they shot their
Yeah.
own boat, and that's his defense in court, is that he was being a beluga whale, and they shot their own boat.
Well, I mean,
So-
he's an intergalactic, interloper. He's out of the jurisdiction.
They
of,
have
the United
poor
States.
trigger discipline.
He has a license to kill.
That's true.
He has a
You
license
don't know what
to
the
invade.
World Watcher decree is. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, the World Watchers look down on humans
Oh, yeah.
because humans are the ones that are destroying
Oh,
the Earth. And
which-
in most cases, you're going to be dealing with humans that are the main issue in a lot of these episodes, I believe.
So
Yeah.
So let's look at what Widget's bosses, the legit watchers, they call Earth, and they don't call them humans though. You remember back to the beginning of the episode, they go
Earthers.
The Earthers.
Earthers, yeah.
Earthers. So we all know that flat Earthers exist. So the rest of us are just Earthers.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is that the whole reason why they were even saving the whales is because Widget's bosses said that the whales
Yes.
had an immense amount of knowledge that they could share with him and the humans if the humans just started respecting the whales. And apparently
Yes.
by respecting the whales, he meant just stop capturing their babies and selling them to cheap carnival foreigners.
Well, the
We
thing
can-
is, this now sets up this end game for Widget, where theoretically, if it's all about learning the information the whales have, like the last episode of the series should be the whales letting us in on their secrets.
Yeah.
That would be nice. I like secrets.
Oh, let's produce a sequel series where we learn what the whales had to teach Widget. Or not.
Or not.
I mean, if the, you know what? At some point, let's just go watch the last episode of season 3 and see if they actually wrapped it up or if the show got
Yeah.
canceled.
Yeah, we gotta do that because I remember a bunch of episodes. Like I remember, Widget has a cousin that shows up in an episode or two, and I remember
Half
like,
pint.
yeah, 'cause the stupid name. But
Or you
Yeah.
know, maybe the last episode of season 1 would be really good to go to next, and we could really judge how the first season went by watching the first episode and the last
And the
episode.
last.
Because you're like, fuck all the ones in the middle. You know,
Sure.
let's
Yeah.
just watch the first one and the last one. It's like the cliff notes of the season, and then we can take
we-
it from there.
we won't have an accurate body count if we skip the middle episodes.
Oh, we can, Tom. I do statistical forecasting for my job. I mean, based on where he started and where he ends up, I can fill in the middle. We could do
All right.
we could do a bell curve on this, because I'm sure
Hold
it gets
up.
high right around episode 5 or 6.
Just based on the synopsis for episode 2 of season 1, I think we almost need to watch the whole damn series.
Oh God.
Really?
So, on a school trip, Kevin and Brian adopt a gorilla named Johnny Africa.
Wow.
No.
That's the synopsis. That
Oh,
sounds
That's it?
crazy.
That's great. That's awesome.
Wait, that's the whole synopsis.
That's the whole synopsis. Yeah.
Oh man, they are masters of suspense.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
God damn. This show just might take a pivot. We
Yeah.
might take a pivot and just focus in on this for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd be
Oh.
let's finish this episode. So they
Yeah, I was just gonna say we haven't even finished yet.
Oh god.
Yeah, but we were pretty much at the end. Once they rescue the whales, we go back to the cave where somehow Widget's ship is completely repaired at this point. And he gets a call from his bosses, and he lets his bosses know the whales are safe. I'll be ready to come home. And his bosses are like, "No worries. We've been watching you the whole time. We're promoting you, and now you are the temporary, or, well, he's still, I think, the temporary watcher. They didn't make him the permanent one, but they did promote him.
No, they promoted him from second class to first class, but he's still a watcher apprentice.
Apprentice,
Yes.
that's right.
So it's like being the first class of a second class citizen.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like, and honestly, yeah, I know, that didn't make any sense. So I'll be the first to admit. But, well, he's not a full watcher still. And honestly, let me know what you guys think when they were like, we were watching the whole time. Like, his two bosses, it's a presumably a male and a female. And the guy can't get anybody's name right, including Widget. He calls him Wiggle.
Yeah.
And he can't remember the name of the planet he went to, but he's been watching him the whole time. Like, I'm sorry. I'm calling bullshit. You weren't watching him. You don't like him. You don't want him to come back. So you're like, you're doing a great job. We were watching you the whole time. You got a promotion. Please stay there. Don't come back.
Well, also, he's calling us Earthers, so he probably doesn't really give that much of a shit about the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or at least he doesn't give a shit about humans on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other wildlife is cool. Just,
Yeah.
They're all a bunch of inbred hicks anyhow. Everyone's related.
Go.
Yeah,
Well,
so far.
I mean,
Yeah.
technically, from some science thing that I read years ago that I'm probably going to misquote or whatever, they based on genetics and, when they started doing like Ancestry and Me23 and all the genetic decoding, they figured out that all humans, like, basically all relate back to like a group as small as like 36.
Wow.
Yeah, like at some point, like, whatever, however long ago, humans were like almost extinct at some point, and we all relate back to like literally like a couple dozen humans essentially, and that's what they've like extrapolated out of decoding the human genome, which is, so technically they're not wrong. We are all related. It's just, over the course of probably tens of thousands of years. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so Widget gets his promotion. His bosses are jerks. I really truly believe that he just got the promotion and they tell him to stay there because they don't like him. I mean, and he has that Mega Brain watch thing that they also don't like. They basically said it was like a test model that failed every single test. Mm-hmm. So they're just like, yeah, all right. So you saved like 4 baby whales. Great job. Pretty sure whaling is still a thriving industry on Earth. So that did not solve the global problem. They're just like, okay, you stay there. Keep doing that, kid. Good job.
Keep killing the whalers.
That was the only instance of whaling going on the entire planet.
Yeah, just that one boat, man. That one boat. And they were concerned enough to send an intergalactic spaceship to stop that one boat on an entire planet. Mm-hmm. So, God forbid they solved any of the other problems we got here. Anyway.
Yeah.
What happens after that? The episode basically just cuts
That's
to
it.
black like The Sopranos, right?
Yeah, it's
pretty
like,
much.
okay,
Well,
you're now the
they're
new
all
watcher.
happy that he gets to stay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because they had all said their goodbyes at that point, and then they're just like, "Oh, I guess I'm staying! Yay!"
Yeah, it's like the end of Star Wars Episode 6. They all get awards except for Chewie, and then the episode ends.
Get
Yeah.
your episodes right, Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? That
Four.
was
4.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I have to say, I thought this was overall, like, all right, compared to what we've been watching so far, I thought this was a pretty solid show. I mean, okay, the premise is kind of weird, but I thought the storyline was pretty tight.
I think that with any show, the first episode has a chance of being rocky. And honestly, if this was their first episode being rocky, I'd watch it again. I actually thought that it had a good storyline. I'm interested to see where they take it, especially with that synopsis of episode 2 just being like, the two boys adopt a gorilla named Johnny Africa, and that's all they give you. I'm like, I gotta see. Johnny Africa is like the coolest name.
That's
Like,
pretty cool.
right?
It is, yeah.
Johnny Africa is like, he's a superhero, but in this episode, he's an adopted gorilla. So I'm just
I
waiting
feel
to
like
see.
I feel like it's going to be the coolest freaking gorilla we have ever seen portrayed
Oh, it's gotta
in
be.
animated form.
He's definitely way
Probably
cooler
going to be
than
riding a skateboard.
Yeah.
he's way cooler
Sunglasses?
than Curious George.
Oh, I hope he has
Sunglasses and backwards
sunglasses.
hat.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, we gotta watch it now.
So what do we want to rate this? Who wants to go first?
Tom, you can go first.
All right, it was my pick. I'll go first. Well, like Keith said, it was a first episode, and they do have, they tend to have a way about getting kind of rocky and making you not want to watch more, like the Sonic series we watched. But in this instance, I really kind of liked this, and I know it gets better from here. So I'm gonna give it a. What are we rating out of?
10?
Out of 10 widgets.
Out of 10 widgets, I'll give it I'll give it 8. 8 widgets.
All right.
I'm actually going to come in a little bit lower at about 6 widgets. To be honest, I think this is a clear example of just not having nostalgia for a show. Because having not known about this show pretty much at all, and having never seen any frame of the show until today, I mean, aside from the synopsis, there's nothing that really brings me to want to watch more of this. What it does make me want to do is watch, Captain Planet and the Planeteers, because that was the environmentally friendly, environmentally, conscious cartoon that I grew up with. And I believe they came out about the same time? Question mark?
Yeah.
So it's not like one copied the other. They both kind of had the same idea at the same time, I guess, if we're being kind. And I just feel like Captain Planet did it a lot better. So it makes me want to watch a different cartoon if we're going to be watching a environmentally conscious one. So I'd say 6 out of 10 widgets for me.
So, quick question before I go on to me. Would you watch another episode of it?
I would specifically watch the next episode because I too am intrigued about Johnny Africa.
So, that's actually weighing into my decision here cuz I want to rate it higher. I agree with you, Cory. I don't have any nostalgia for this because I did not know about it whatsoever until Tom brought it up. I would say I'd be closer in the 6 and 6.5 range, but I'm going to give it a 7 because of the synopsis for episode 2. Because I'm giving it a 7 because Johnny Africa is worth at least a half a point boost. And I would definitely watch the next episode because of that, and then reevaluate if we were going to watch any more. Because I feel like that could, if they're just going to, because that synopsis, it's so short, I just think that they're just going to get into shenanigans, and I just love shenanigans.
I do too. Yeah.
So, anyway, back to regular programming.
So I guess if we're doing what is it, an average on the show, it'd be a 7.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not that bad.
It's a 7 with a very favorable watch the next episode. And, take it, watch the next episode and take it from there. Don't necessarily, like, not totally in love, watch the full 3 seasons, but it's at least a watch the next episode and see what happens thing.
Hey, we know the show is good enough to win an award for something.
Yeah, whether that's education or environmental reasons, it won an award.
So that's something.
There you go.
Yeah, so for preparation for this show, I actually ended up watching more of the gameplay for the NES and Super Nintendo game than I actually did watching, the actual episode. Like, I pretty much watched an almost full playthrough of both games.
Damn.
Wow.
Just to get an idea of, like, because you have to think about it from the perspective I was coming from. Like, I knew about the games, and then you told me about the show. So I was kind of trying to see, like, how good of a representation the games were for the show, because I had no idea that Widget was a shapeshifter.
Really?
Throughout the first stage of the first NES game, or I guess the NES game, the playthrough I was watching, the guy never shapeshifted. In that game, Widget has a like a Mega Man type gun that he uses as his weapon, where it can only fire one bullet that could be on the screen at the same time. So it's kind of a mediocre Mega Man-esque kind of setup, even to the point where you need to go back to, like, previous stages where you weren't able to get to a certain place because you didn't have a certain power-up. In this case, it's stuff like, oh, you weren't able to shapeshift into the bird yet. So once you get the ability to shapeshift into the bird, you can go back to this stage and you can do this thing. So it's kind of interesting in that regard, but the actual gameplay of it seemed like it was lackluster.
It kind of reminds me of, what was it? Little Nemo.
Yes.
Do you remember? Yes. Yeah.
Little Nemo, a little bit reminiscent of Little Samson, which is a very expensive NES game that I'll never own. And it looks like it's definitely a game that I'd like to try. The Super Nintendo game looks like it's a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
He
remember
seems to
liking
have
it.
a lot more guys to transform into, and that's what I noticed immediately once I started looking at the Super Widget gameplay, was he didn't have a gun at all, which made more
Right.
sense because I'm pretty sure he doesn't fire a gun here, ever.
Wait, you haven't watched episode 2 yet. He just, you don't know. He buys one.
Him and Johnny Africa shoot the place up.
Yeah, he goes into the inner city. He buys a gun with the serial numbers filed off, and he just he goes in and he goes after those whalers. Man, he finds out that was not the only whaling boat, and he loses it.
Yeah, he wanted a higher body count, so gotta get
Him
the
and John.
Glock.
Yeah.
He buys that gun and he goes, "There's more whalers out there. I'm going for the high score. I'm getting 100% game completion on Earth."
I was gonna say him and Johnny Africa. They start going around rounding up all the carnies.
God damn.
Foreign carnies.
Johnny Africa does sound like a character that would be running like a vigilante,
Yes.
like syndicate where they like hunt down bad people and just like
Yeah.
off them. Like, oh man, you're from Johnny Africa's group. Like, go ahead. Like,
Oh shit! Yeah, once they tell you who sent them, yeah, Johnny Africa sent me. That's when you're like, oh shit!
yep.
I'm getting my just desserts here.
The thing is, so vote. What's more badass, John Wick or Johnny Africa?
Johnny Africa.
Yeah.
Johnny Africa.
Yep, got to agree.
I've also never seen a John Wick movie, so
I've seen the first. I've seen the first one, and I believe I've seen the second one, or at least most of the second one. I don't know. Keanu Reeves is a badass, man. Gotta admit, he's good at what he does in that space. But Johnny Africa's just such a good fucking name, man.
God, I really hope Johnny Africa is as awesome as we are imagining him.
That's gonna
'Cause
make or break it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it. We're gonna watch that episode at some point, and that's going to make or break this entire series. We're like, if that episode is awesome, you know that we're just gonna end up. We're gonna continue to watch episodes in the series until we get either really disappointed or they actually have a good enough series for us to keep watching. But I could see us. We were literally in this episode almost just like, oh man, we need to watch like all 3 seasons,
Yeah, we were all set. Yeah.
or at least me and Tom were. I'm not sure where Corey
Yeah.
stands.
Right now, I'm skimming through episode 2 because I'm cheating
Oh
to
God,
see if Johnny Africa is as cool as we're making him out to be, and he looks like he's just a regular gorilla.
but maybe he does something really cool like in the subtext.
Yeah.
I mean, I keep clicking through, and he's like, he's super big. Oh, no, that's Widget as a gorilla. Never mind. Yeah, he's super basic.
How many
God damn
people
it.
how many people have him and Widget killed?
75 so far.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty
I
good.
actually have no idea. But that is likely going to do it for this episode of Cartoon Commentary. We'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to three guys ramble about cartoons. If you'd like to ramble about our ramblings or what we rambled about, you can join the Cartoon Commentary podcast group on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections for us, you can reach us at cartooncommentary.podcast@gmail.com. And until all are one, I've been Cory.
I've been Tom.
I'm supposedly Keith.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Dick.